Kalira walked alone through the silver halls of the Veltraxi citadel. Her head was low, her shoulders stiff. The other citizens passed by her quickly, barely hiding their looks of disapproval. She was used to it. Every day since her youth she had heard the same whispers. Her patterns are broken. Why does she even come out in public? Such a waste of space for the citadel. On the planet Veltrax, beauty was not a simple thing. The people had glowing lines across their skin, smooth, symmetrical, and always in harmony. These lines shifted colors with emotion and health. Kalira's were jagged and mismatched. One side of her face glowed brightly, the other flickered, like a broken light. Her patterns had never aligned, not since birth. And so, by Veltraxi standards, she was not just ugly, she was flawed. Because of this, Kalira lived on the edge of society. She had no place in the elite council or the engineering guilds. She was allowed to study only in the deep archives, where few ever went. The records there were old, dusty, and ignored by most. But to Kalira, they were her friends. The silent books didn't stare at her. The ancient star maps didn't judge her face. In that quiet space beneath the citadel, she could breathe. Still, no amount of learning could fix what her people saw as broken. The council never accepted her requests for advancement. Her suggestions were ignored, even when they were smart and useful. It didn't matter. She didn't shine the way others did. One evening, as she left the archives, her thin robes wrapped tight around her arms, she saw a large crowd gathered at the main plaza. A tall Veltraxi male was giving a speech. His lines glowed in perfect rhythm as he spoke. "Our greatness is clear," he said. "Veltrax leads because we are perfect. Our form reflects our strength." The crowd cheered. Kalira stood at the edge, her eyes on the ground. She felt like a shadow among glowing stars. She turned to leave. Just then, her datapad buzzed. A message flashed on the screen. Interstellar Exchange Program. Human Alliance seeking cultural assistance. Open to all ranks. She blinked. All ranks? Kalira had heard of humans. Strange beings. From a blue planet called Earth. They had joined the galactic community only a few decades ago, but their influence was growing fast. Some said they were primitive, others said unpredictable, but most agreed they were different. She tapped the screen and read the full message. The humans were opening a new program for cultural exchange. One Veltraxi citizen would live on Earth for a full cycle, helping to share knowledge and learn in return. The only requirement? Honesty and a willing heart. Kalira's first thought was to ignore it. Surely no one would choose her. But then a thought came quietly. What if they don't care about my face? She looked back at the glowing crowd, still cheering the speaker's words. There was no place for her here, no future, no change. That night, she sat alone in her small sleeping pod, the city lights outside her window flickering like distant stars. Her fingers hovered over the application form. She filled in her name, she filled in her skills, she clicked submit. 3 days later, the answer came. Congratulations. You have been selected as the Veltraxi representative to Earth. Kalira stared at the screen, unsure if it was real. She read it again, and again. The next few days moved quickly. The council did not stop her. Perhaps they were glad to send her away. Perhaps they hoped she would fail. They gave her a quiet farewell. No speeches, no smiles. When the day came to board the transport shuttle, Kalira stood at the launch bay in silence. She had no family to wave goodbye, no friends to hug her. As the engines began to hum, she looked at her reflection in the polished wall, one glowing side, one dim side, one lonely traveler. She whispered softly to herself, "Maybe they will see me differently." And with that, Kalira stepped into the shuttle, leaving behind a world that never accepted her, flying toward a planet she did not understand, but quietly hoped might understand her. The shuttle shook gently as it entered Earth's atmosphere. Outside the window, Kalira saw the deep blue of oceans and the swirling white of clouds. The planet looked alive and full of color, so different from the gray skies of Veltrax. Her heart beat faster, a mix of fear and hope. She had never been this far from home before. Everything she knew was thousands of stars away now. When the shuttle landed at the human embassy, Kalira stepped out slowly. The air smelled fresh and different. The sunlight warmed her skin in a way she did not expect. It felt like a new beginning. The humans waiting for her looked curious but kind. Oe, tall man with dark hair and bright eyes, stepped forward. He wore simple clothes and a wide smile. "Welcome to Earth, Kalira," he said warmly. "I'm Liam. I'll help you adjust here." Kalira blinked. His voice was calm and friendly, nothing like the cold words she was used to on Veltrax. Thank you," she said softly. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears. Liam noticed her hesitation and smiled even more. "Don't worry, you'll do great here. We don't judge by looks. We look for who you are inside." Kalira was not sure what to say. She had never heard anyone say something like that before. On Veltrax, beauty was everything. Without it, you had no place. Liam led her inside the embassy building. It was full of light and warmth, with plants and colors everywhere. It felt alive, like a place made for all kinds of people. Over the next days, Kalira learned about Earth. She was amazed at the variety of humans she met, tall and short, pale and dark, some with hair colors she had never seen. They all looked different, and none were judged for it. One afternoon, Liam took Kalira to a garden filled with flowers of many colors. "Here, we celebrate differences," he said. "This planet is full of variety. That's what makes it beautiful." Kalira touched a soft petal gently. For the first time, she felt something inside her soften too. "Your eyes," Liam said suddenly, looking at her closely. "They're incredible." Kalira looked away, unsure. "My eyes?" she asked quietly. "Yes," Liam smiled. "The way they shine. It's unique. I have never seen anything like them." Kalira's heart beat fast. No one had ever said that to her before. She felt her glowing patterns on her face flicker softly. But old fears whispered in her mind. Was he just being polite? Was this a trick? Still, Liam's kindness felt real. He didn't avoid looking at her. He didn't hide his admiration. That night, Kalira sat by the window in her small room. Outside, the stars looked familiar, but the world below was new and strange. She thought about Veltrax, the harsh words, the cold stares. Here, people saw her differently. Maybe not perfect, but not broken. For the first time, Kalira allowed herself a small smile. She whispered, "Maybe I can belong here." The next morning, Liam showed her how to use the embassy's communication devices. They talked for hours about their worlds, their hopes, and their fears. Kalira found herself opening up. She shared stories about the Veltraxi culture, their strict rules about beauty, and how she had been left out. Liam listened carefully. "That sounds very hard," he said. "But you are brave for coming here." "I don't know if I am brave," Kalira replied. "Maybe I just wanted to hide." Liam shook his head. "No, you took a big step to change your life. That is bravery." As days turned into weeks, Kalira began to explore Earth more with Liam's help. She saw cities full of life, people laughing and creating, children playing freely. She learned that humans valued courage, kindness, and honesty more than looks. Sometimes, when she felt doubt, Liam reminded her, "Your worth is not on your skin, Kalira. It is in your heart and mind." Bit by bit, Kalira's confidence grew. She still missed home, but this strange new world was starting to feel like a place where she could shine. Her own way. One evening, as the sun set behind tall trees, Liam said, "You belong here. You matter." Kalira looked at him, her glowing, patterns calm and steady now. For the first time, she believed it. Kalira woke up to the soft light filtering through the window of her room at the Earth Embassy. The sun was warm and gentle, unlike the cold, dim light of Veltrax. She stretched and looked at herself in the small mirror hanging on the wall. Her glowing patterns still flickered unevenly, but she no longer felt the sharp sting of shame she had carried for so long. Today was going to be different. Liam had promised to show her more of human life beyond the embassy walls. Kalira felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. What if humans didn't accept her once she left the safe? Embassy? Liam arrived with a bright smile and a small package in his hands. "I thought you might like this," he said. "It's something humans use to express themselves, clothes and accessories." Kalira's eyes widened. On Veltrax, everyone wore strict uniforms, chosen by the council, designed to show status and perfection. There was no room for personal choice or creativity, but Liam handed her colorful scarves, soft fabrics, and even some painted designs for her glowing patterns. "Try them on," he encouraged. Kalira hesitated, but then carefully wrapped a blue scarf around her neck. It was soft and comforting. When she looked in the mirror, she saw a new version of herself, still unique, but now wrapped in colors and shapes that made her feel alive. Liam clapped his hands with joy. "You look amazing. You're like a walking work of art." Kalira smiled for the first time without fear. "Thank you." That day, Liam took Kalira to a local market. The streets were filled with people of all shapes, sizes, and colors. The air smelled of fresh fruits, spices, and sounds of laughter and music. Kalira felt overwhelmed but curious. Everywhere she looked, she saw faces that did not fit any single mold. Some wore bright clothes, others simple ones. Some had tattoos, some had scars, some smiled, some frowned. But none were judged for being different. Liam noticed her surprise. Humans believe everyone has something special inside. It's what makes us beautiful. As they walked, a small child ran up to Kalira and held out a flower. "For you?" the child said shyly. Kalira's heart melted. She knelt and took the flower carefully. "Thank you," she said softly. The child smiled and ran back to their family. Liam watched Kalira with a kind expression. "See? Even the smallest among us understand kindness." Kalira felt tears prick her eyes. On Veltrax, children were taught to avoid anyone who looked different. Here, a child had seen beyond her glowing flaws and offered her a gift. Later that evening, Liam invited Kalira to join a human art class. There, people painted, sculpted, and created music. The room was filled with energy and joy. Kalira hesitated, then took a brush. She began to paint with colors she had never used before. She painted her thoughts, her hopes, her fear, and her dreams. As the brush moved, she felt a release, a freedom from years of self-doubt. She looked around and saw others smiling at her work. "You have talent," said an older woman with kind eyes. "Your art tells a story." Kalira nodded, her heart swelling. For the first time, she felt accepted, not for how she looked, but for who she was. At night, Kalira and Liam sat on a rooftop overlooking the city lights. The stars above were bright and steady, a reminder of the vast universe she came from. Liam turned to her. "What do you think of Earth so far?" Kalira smiled. "It feels free, different from home." He nodded. "That's because here people choose who they want to be. You don't have to hide who you are." Kalira's eyes shimmered. "I wish I could tell my people that. Maybe someday I will." Liam reached out and gently touched her hand. "You're not alone anymore. You have friends here." Kalira looked down at their hands, then back at Liam. His touch was warm and steady, giving her strength she never knew she needed. That night she dreamed of a future where she could walk with her head held high, where her glowing patterns were not flaws but a sign of her story. When morning came, Kalira felt ready to face the world. The grand hall of the embassy was glowing softly with lights from hanging crystals. Tonight was a special event, a diplomatic GIG, gala where humans and many alien species gathered to celebrate their cooperation and friendship. Kalira wore a simple dress Liam had helped her choose. It was soft and flowing, colored in deep blues and silvers that made her glowing patterns shimmer softly. She stood near a tall window watching the crowd move with laughter and conversation. She felt a flutter of nervousness in her chest. Although she had grown more confident, old fears still lingered in the back of her mind. Would these aliens and humans accept her for who she was? As the evening went on, Kalira noticed a group of diplomats from a distant world. They were tall, proud, and dressed in sharp, shining uniforms. One of them, a human diplomat she had met before, smiled and said to his friends, "She's exotically stunning, isn't she?" The words floated in the air, carrying surprise and admiration. Kalira's heart beat faster. She tried to smile, but the praise felt strange. Could she believe it? Was it true? She turned away from the crowd and stepped out onto a small balcony. The cool night air brushed against her skin. Stars twinkled above, far brighter than those on Veltrax. She did not hear Liam approach until he stood beside her. "You okay?" he asked softly. Kalira swallowed hard. I heard them. They said I was beautiful. But how can that be?" Liam looked at her with gentle eyes. "Because you are. You are beautiful, Kalira. Not because you look like anyone else, but because you are yourself." Her eyes filled with tears she could not hold back. "I have never heard that before, not from anyone. On Veltrax, I was always the outcast." He reached out, lightly touching her hand. "You don't have to be that person anymore. Here, you can be free." Kalira looked up at him, searching his face. There was no false kindness, no pity, only truth. For a long moment she stayed silent. Then she whispered, "Thank you, Liam, for seeing me." He smiled warmly. "Always." Later that night, Kalira sat by herself in her room, staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her glowing patterns flickered gently, painting her face with soft light. She looked carefully, noticing for the first time details she had never appreciated before. The way the light curved on her cheek, the color shifts in her eyes. She realized that beauty was not about being perfect or the same. It was about being real, being unique. Kalira smiled, a quiet, strong smile. The next day, she woke feeling different, stronger, braver. She stepped into the embassy halls with her head held high. For the first time, she no longer hid from the eyes of others. News of Kalira's time on Earth spread quickly through the galactic networks. Stories showed her learning human culture, gaining friends, and speaking openly about her experiences. The humans praised her courage and wisdom. She had become more than an outcast. She was a symbol of hope. But not everyone was happy. Back on Veltrax, the council watched the news with growing concern. To them, Kalira's popularity was a threat. Her unique appearance, once considered shameful, was now admired by others. This challenged everything they believed. One morning, a Veltraxi delegation arrived at the Earth Embassy. The group was stern and proud, wearing formal robes that shimmered with perfect glowing patterns. At their head stood an official named Solaris, a strict member of the council. Kalira met them in the embassy's conference room. Her heart beat fast, but she stood tall. "We have come for Kalira," Solaris said, his voice cold but controlled. "She must return to Veltrax for reassignment and proper care." Kalira's eyes narrowed. "I am not broken. I do not need care. I have found a place where I belong." Solaris's face showed no sympathy. "Your presence here confuses others. Your people need order and perfection." Liam stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Kalira is an ambassador of peace and culture. She has rights here, just like anyone else." The Veltraxi delegation exchanged looks. Solaris said, "This is a temporary allowance. You must understand Kalira's place is with her own people." Kalira shook her head. "My place is where I am respected and valued. That is not on Veltrax." The humans around her nodded in support. Some had gathered quietly to hear the discussion. Whispers of encouragement filled the room. Outside, news of the confrontation spread quickly. People from different worlds expressed their support for Kalara on messages and broadcasts. They admired her strength and courage. The Veltraxi tried to push harder, reminding Kalara of their rules and traditions. They even tried to use old laws to force her return. But Kalara stood firm. She spoke openly about her experiences, her pain, and her growth on Earth. She shared her hopes for a future where no one would be judged by their looks. Many listened. Many believed. The pressure from humans and other allies forced the Veltraxi delegation to reconsider. In a final meeting, Solaris said, "We will withdraw our claim, for now, but Kalara must understand her responsibilities to her people." Kalara nodded. "I do. But responsibility means honesty. Honesty about who I am." As the delegation left, Kalara felt a new sense of power. She had faced the world that rejected her and stood strong. Liam smiled and took her hand. "You are changing more than yourself, Kalara. You are changing worlds." She looked at him, her glowing patterns steady and bright. For the first time, she believed that true beauty was not just skin deep. It was courage, truth, and heart. The halls of the Earth Embassy buzzed with quiet urgency. Kalira's situation had become a topic far beyond their walls. Messages from many worlds flooded in, voices of support and concern, all recognizing the courage of the Veltraxi woman who had dared to be different. The Veltraxi delegation had made it clear they wanted Kalara returned, claiming she was a danger to their strict social order. But the humans were not willing to give up so easily. Liam stood before a group of diplomats and officials. "Kalara is not just a guest here. She is family to us. And family stands together." His words echoed in the chamber, firm and sure. "If Veltrax wants her back, they must understand that she has rights here, rights to freedom, respect, and choice." A tall ambassador from another planet nodded. "We stand with Earth on this. No one should be forced to return to a place where they are shamed for who they are." The Veltraxi delegation sat across the table, their faces tight with anger and frustration. Solaris, the council official, spoke again. "Our traditions are clear. Kalira's presence here threatens the order we have built over millennia." Liam shook his head gently. "Sometimes traditions need to change. What your people see as order, we see as chains." Outside the embassy, crowds gathered in solidarity with Kalara. Humans and aliens alike held peaceful rallies, carrying signs of support and calling for respect for all beings. News channels showed interviews with Kalara. She spoke openly, her voice steady but full of emotion. "I was once hidden, ignored, and told I was less. Here I found acceptance. I am not asking for special treatment. I am asking for fairness." Her words touched many hearts. Stories of her courage spread across worlds. She was no longer just a Veltraxi outcast. She was a symbol of hope and change. One day, the Veltraxi delegation attempted a public meeting to discredit her. They questioned her loyalty, her judgment, and her appearance, but the humans did not back down. Liam stepped forward, speaking clearly and passionately. "Kalara is one of us now. She has chosen to stand with those who believe in respect and freedom. You cannot silence her." The crowd in the meeting hall erupted in applause. Kalara felt a new strength rising inside her. For the first time, she was not alone. She had a voice, and it was heard. In a final gathering, Solaris looked at her with a mixture of anger and respect. "You have changed more than yourself, Kalara. You have challenged us all." Kalara met his gaze calmly. "And I will keep challenging, until no one is left behind." The Veltraxi delegation withdrew, leaving Kalara to her new home and the friends who had become her family. Liam took her hand gently. "You are a star that shines brightest when you are true to yourself." Kalara smiled, her glowing patterns, steady and warm. She knew her journey was far from over, but now she had the strength to face whatever came next. Together, they looked out at the night sky, full of endless possibilities. The days after the Veltraxi delegation's withdrawal, were filled with new beginnings for Kalara. No longer an outcast, she stepped into a future full of hope and promise. The Earth Embassy became her home, and the humans who had welcomed her became her family. Kalara worked hard as an ambassador of cultural healing. She traveled to different planets, sharing her story and teaching others to see beyond appearances. Her message was clear. True beauty comes from within, from courage, kindness, and honesty. At each new world she visited, Kalara found eager listeners. Some came with skepticism, their cultures as strict as Veltrax once was. But when Kalara spoke, her calm voice and glowing sincerity broke through their walls. One day, in a distant star system, a young alien girl approached her shyly. "You taught me to be proud," she said. "I thought I was strange. Now I know I am special." Kalara smiled warmly, remembering her own journey. We are all special, in our own ways. Back on Earth, Liam remained by her side. They never spoke about their feelings openly, but the connection between them grew deeper every day. Liam's steady support gave Kalara the strength to keep moving forward. Together, they watched the stars one clear evening. Kalara's glowing patterns shone softly in the dark, reflecting the light of distant suns. "I never imagined I could feel so at home," she said quietly. Liam smiled. "Home is where you are accepted, and you have created that home, Kalara." She nodded. "I want to help others find that feeling too." Her story inspired a movement that spread across the galaxy, a movement to celebrate differences and to break old chains of judgment. The Veltraxi Council began to question their own rules, slowly opening to new ideas. Kalara's people sent messages of respect and apology, acknowledging the pain caused by their harsh traditions. Some even asked her to return, not as an outcast but as a leader. But Kalara knew her journey was about more than just one planet. It was about changing hearts and minds everywhere. One day, she received an invitation to speak at the Galactic Assembly, the greatest council of all species. Standing before representatives from hundreds of worlds, Kalara told her story with strength and grace. "When I first left Veltrax," she said, "I believed I was ugly, broken, and unwanted. But here, I found something more valuable than perfect patterns or shining skin. I found acceptance, I found love, and I found myself." Her words echoed through the chamber, filling the hearts of all who listened. As Kalara stepped down, the assembly erupted in applause. For the first time, she felt truly seen, not just for her glowing patterns, but for the bright light inside her. Liam met her at the exit, his eyes shining with pride. "You've changed the galaxy, Kalara." She smiled and took his hand. "We changed it together." Under the vast stars, Kalara knew this was only the beginning. Her story was a spark that would light the way for countless others who felt different, alone, or unwanted. Because in the universe, true beauty shines brightest when it comes from the heart.